Sashi Tharoor false claims at Oxford, debunked with the truth. 1. Sashi Tharoor claims, the economic situation of colonies was negatively affected by British colonialism, with India's share of the world economy dropping from 23% to below 4% due to British governance for the benefit of Britain, as per Angus Maddison's estimates. Truth. The Indian economy was actually more prosperous under British rule, with investments in infrastructure and the development of modern industry helping to increase GDP per capita. In 1 AD, India's GDP per capita was $450, as was China's. But Italy under the Roman Empire had a per capita income of $809. In 1000 AD, India's per capita income was $450 and China's $466. The average of the West Asian countries, such as Turkey and Iraq, was much higher at $621. In 1500, India's per capita income was $550 and China's $600. The UK was not far behind, with a per capita income of $714. By 1600, the Netherlands had a per capita income of $761 and the UK had a per capita income of $974. Recall that 1600 was the year the East India Company was founded. In contrast, India's per capita income continued to be $550, while China's was $600. Ireland, one of the poorest of Western Europe's countries, had a per capita income of $615, higher than India's and China's. In 2008, India's per capita GDP in $1,990 PPP terms was $2,975, slightly more than one-third of the world average of $7,614. 2. Sashi Tharoor claims, Britain's industrial revolution was based on the deindustrialization of India, through actions such as breaking the thumbs of handloom weavers and imposing tariffs and duties on Indian cloth. Truth. Britain's industrial revolution was based on increased productivity and innovation in the manufacturing sector, and not on the deindustrialization of India. Tariffs and duties on Indian cloth were imposed to protect British industry, but were not the primary cause of deindustrialization. 3. Sashi Tharoor claims, colonialists like Robert Clive looted India for their own gain and purchased political influence in England. Truth. While Robert Clive was involved in corruption and profiteering, he was not alone in doing so, and his actions were not the primary cause of the economic decline of India. 4. Sashi Tharoor claims, India was already Britain's biggest cash cow by the end of the 19th century and was the source of highly paid employment for British civil servants. Truth. While India was an important source of revenue for the British, it was not the only source, and British civil servants were not paid higher salaries than other public servants in the British Empire. 5. Sashi Tharoor claims, wealthy Victorian British families profited from the slave trade and compensation for the abolition of slavery was paid to slave owners, not to those who had suffered from slavery. Truth. While some British families did benefit from the slave trade, compensation for the abolition of slavery was paid to both slave owners and former slaves. 6. Sashi Tharoor claims 15 to 29 million Indians died of starvation in British-induced famines. Truth. Despite millions of Indians dying due to famines
Should
during
we play some of these best moments of
period,
this?
Yeah, so
many
this
policies
is really,
implemented by Britain
the best.
benefited
My
Indians and
favorite
increased their
moment.
quality of life.
It's always this moment, though. It's
from the
always the
debate.
same shit.
Well,
right?
I turned this around a little bit. You said what I mean, but
Agricultural
anyway,
productivity
this
through
is
mechanization and
definitely the best
introduction of
moment.
new crops and family relief schemes that eradicated famines for 40 years until 1943 and prevented famines after 1947 independence. 7. Sashi Tharoor claims, Winston Churchill caused the deaths of 4 million people during the Bengal famine of World War II through diverting essential supplies from civilians to European stockpiles. Truth. The Bengal famine was primarily caused by natural factors such as extreme weather and political mismanagement. While Churchill did impose export embargoes on Indian grain, these were not the primary cause of the famine. 8. Sashi Tharoor claims British Empire's wealth was financed by its depredations in India.
Do you remember this? The actual.
Truth. Despite colonialists like Robert Clive looting India for their own gain and purchasing political influence in England, many British families made donations to Indian charities and social causes as well as supported public welfare initiatives during British rule in India. 9. Sashi Tharoor claims the British Empire's attitude towards India was exploitative, with colonialists like Robert Clive being referred to as if they belonged to the country when they only ensured that much of the country belonged to them. Truth. Despite British colonialism and underlying attitude towards colonial subjects being exploitative, many elderly people embraced the changes brought by Britain and found employment in fields such as trade and industry, while enlightened minds were inspired by thought-provoking methodology that eventually elevated concepts like freedom from oppression. 10. Sashi Tharoor claims William Ewart Gladstone, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and his family, who was celebrated by the Oxford Union, benefited from the discomfort of Indians. Truth. Despite British colonialism having a negative economic impact on colonies and India's share of global economy drastically dropping due to British governance, many policies implemented by Britain during its rule were beneficial for the people of India. These included businesses flourishing under lower taxes, increased agricultural productivity through mechanization and introduction of new crops, promotion of education in vernacular languages as well as English language and literature, construction of infrastructure such as roads and railways which made transportation faster and more efficient, etc.